Students, today we discuss the next topic of chapter chemistry in everyday life, that is food additives and cleaning agents. Clear? So first I will start with that food additives, the first topic. So just listen, what is the meaning of food additives? But these are the substances which are normally added to the food just to increase their nutritive value, or you can say just to give sweetness in them, or we can say beta just to improve their flavor, and just to, you can say, that is preserve them. So all type of the chemicals which are added to the food for this any one of the purpose, that either to increase their nutritive value or to increase the sweetness or to improve their flavor, these are collectively said to be the food additives. So now we have to discuss one by one how many types of food additives are there. So normally we are having beta three types of food additives that we have to discuss. First one is food preservatives. Second beta we have to do antioxidants, and third we have to do artificial sweetening agent. So normally we have to do three type of food, that you can say food additives. So I start with the first one, that is food preservative. These are the chemicals which are added to the food just to prevent spoilage of food, or better you can say that is just to prevent the decomposition of food by microorganisms. Sort of, this you have done in the lower classes, that the microorganisms just like bacteria, virus, you can say fungi, they will have the ability to decompose the food or to spoil the food. So we have to prevent our food from that particular spoilage, or you can say decomposition. So the examples in this category are: number one, benzoic acid. Second beta, sodium benzoate. Third beta we have to do two particular chemicals, that is BHT. Fourth one is BHA. Just remember their names. BHT is butylated hydroxytoluene. It means a butyl group is added to the toluene. You remember that toluene we have done in the 11th class. Clear? On toluene, which group is attached? Butyl group. Clear? And hydroxytoluene. Clear to all of you? So I tell you one more thing, that in this chapter no need to do the structure. Therefore I am already just writing the names of the compounds. Clear? So this one is butylated hydroxytoluene, and this one is saying BHA, butylated hydroxy. In place of toluene beta we are having anisole. In place of toluene what we have? We have the anisole. Now these are the some four common examples. Beyond it we are having two more examples, that is number 5, sodium metabisulfite, whereas the sixth one, in place of sodium we can also take potassium metabisulfite. So these are one of the most common food preservative that we are using in our day-to-day life. Now second comes out to beta, we have to discuss the antioxidants. These are the chemical substances which are used to, beta, as the name indicates, antioxidants. It means it is something that is that will work opposite to the oxidation. So what will I write? I simply write which prevent the oxidation of food. Clear to all of you? Clear? So for this we have to again see the example. Beta, I tell you one more thing. That is a little one difference between the food preservative and antioxidants. Clear? If the oxidation of the food occurs, then what will happen? Then your food get oxidized or get spoiled. This is very important. Clear to all of you? So this will prevent the oxidation of food, and oxidation means that is interaction or you can say reaction of food with oxygen, which result in the, what is the result of this, which result in the spoilage of food. Am I clear to all of you? Okay, now just we have to see some examples for that. So two examples beta, these are common that we have done in case of that particular food preservatives. First one is number one BHA. This is same that we have done in case of that, you can say food preservative. Second example is BHT, same we have done in case of food preservative. This you can say butylated hydroxyanisole. This one is butylated hydroxytoluene. And listen, one third, sulfur dioxide. This will also act as antioxidant. This will why this is antioxidant? Because this SO2 it itself combined with oxygen to form SO3. Clear to all of you? By this reaction, this will reduce the supply of oxygen because he itself convert himself into SO3. Now listen, 1, 2, 3, 4. But you know about that vitamin C and vitamin E. These vitamins, they will also act as antioxidants. So I can write vitamin C and vitamin E. Clear to all of you? So two categories we have done. Number one, food preservative, which prevent the spoilage of food, or you can say decomposition by microorganisms. Second, we have done antioxidant, which prevent the oxidation of food, that is interaction or reaction of food with the oxygen that result in the spoilage of food. Clear? Now the last one that we will do is artificial sweetening agents, and these are also said to be the or artificial sweeteners. So what are these compounds? Just first see. These are the compounds which give the sweetening effect to the food. Listen, which gives the sweetening effect to the food. But there is a speciality. But normally in our house we are using cane sugar, that is said to be the sucrose. This sucrose, this will also provide the sweetening effect to the food, but this sucrose will have a high energy content and they will have a very less energy content. Difference is clear? Clear? What is the difference? That these artificial sweeteners, they will have very less energy content, whereas the normal sugar that we will use in our house, that is said to be the cane sugar or sucrose, that will have a very high energy content. So the complete definition of artificial sweetening agent will be, these are the sweetening, these are the compounds which give the sweetening effect to the food with very less energy content. Am I clear to all of you? Now we have to see the example of this. So the first example in this category, I just simply remove so that there is no confusion that we are discussing this one, artificial sweetening agents. So now we will discuss about the example. The first example is saccharin. This saccharin is beta 550 times sweet than sucrose. You know sucrose? That is a normal cane sugar that we use in our daily life. And one of the important things, this is stable at cooking temperature. What does it mean? That at particular temperature, when we form some sweet dish, this artificial sweetening agent or this you can say saccharin, it will not decompose. Clear to all of you? Therefore, due to these two reasons, this is the one of the most commonly used by the diabetic patients. Clear to all of you? Clear? So the main reason why the diabetic patient use this, there are two reasons. Number one, this is stable at cooking temperature, due to which whatever food we cook, we can add on that particular food. Secondly, it will 550 times sweet than sucrose, so you have to he has to take very less amount of this now. Now the second example is aspartame. Aspartame. Beta aspartame is 100 times sweet than sucrose. But there is a drawback. This is unstable at cooking temperature. Very important. This is unstable at cooking temperature. What does it mean? Suppose we are making a sweet dish, clear? And at particular temperature this compound decomposes. Then what happens? There is no sweetening effect. So this is used in case of providing a sweetening effect in cold drinks, or you can can say in ice creams, and commonly I'll say in cold foods. Which type of food? Cold foods. Clear to all of you? Now the next example is anytime. Third. Now anytime is 2000 times sweet than sucrose. Now student, this is a very quite big data. 2000 times sweet. This is a very big, you can say very big difference between the normal sugar and that particularly this one, anytime. So due to this, this will have a large amount of, or you can say large times, you can say it is a sweet than sucrose. So this will be said to, this will be, we can say a highly potential sweetener. Highly potential sweetener, you understood, whose sweetness is very large, or you can say very large as compared to normal sugar, due to very large difference between, or you can say we can say it as a high potential sweetener. Clear to all of you? It's a sweetness cannot be controlled. Clear to all of you? We cannot control the sweetener because it is 2000 times sweet than sugar, and due to the same reason it is said to be highly potential sweetener. Now the last example, the fourth one I discuss here, sucralose. The fourth example is sucralose. Now the sucralose, student, this is 600 times. Sucralose is 600 times, you can say sweet than sucrose. And one more thing, this is again stable at cooking temperature. So this can also be used for making hot foods. So students, in the artificial sweetening agent, we have to learn these four examples. Remember, saccharin, aspartame, anytime and sucralose. Saccharin is the most commonly used because it is stable at cooking temperature and 550 times sweet. Aspartame is normally 100 times sweet, but it will have a drawback that it is unstable at cooking temperature. Therefore, we will use it in case of cold drink and ice creams. Third one is anytime. Anytime is 2000 times sweet. It is a highly difference. You can say there is a lot of difference. Therefore, we cannot control its sweetener, and it is said to be the highly potential sweetener. And the last one is sucralose. This is 600 times sweet, and you can say this is stable at cooking temperature. So this can also be used for making the hot food. So for the hot foods, remember, if you have to prepare the hot food and we want to use that particular artificial sweetening agent, then we are having two options: sucralose and saccharin. This is for, you can say, hot food, and this aspartame is for cold food, and this we cannot use for the making of that particularly food. Either it is you can say cold food, or it is a hot food. The reason is clear to all of you. It is a high potential sweetener. So beta, this we have done the first, that is food additives, which are basically we have done three types: food preservative, antioxidant, and third we have done artificial sweetening agents. Now we'll shift to the second part of today's lecture, that is cleansing agents, or you can say cleaning agents. Now listen, what do you mean by cleansing agent? These are the substances which are used to remove dirt particles. Which are used to remove the dirt particles from clothes or any other material. Here, these are collectively said to be the, you can say that particularly cleansing agents, and these are of beta we have to do, you can say, types. So first we will study soap in this. Second, we will study that particularly detergents. So these are of two main types, you understand. First we will study soap, then we will study detergents, and one more category that we can study, that is, I can write here, biodegradable and non-biodegradable detergents. So this is simply a flow chart that we have to study now. So what we have to study? We have to study the three things. Number one, we have to study the soap. Number two, beta, we have to study the detergents. Number three, we have to study biodegradable and non-biodegradable detergents. So now I will start with the first one, that is soaps. soaps. Now, as far as definition is concerned, soaps are the sodium or potassium salts of long chain carboxylic acids, or I can say sodium or potassium salts of fatty acids. Clear? The long chain carboxylic acid beta, these are said to be the fatty acids. So we can write any of the two definitions. First we can write these are the sodium or potassium salts of long chain carboxylic acid, or we can simply write these are the sodium or potassium salt of fatty acids. Clear to all of you? Now just see the examples. The examples I can write: number 1, sodium stearate. Second example, sodium oleate. Third example, sodium palmitate. So this will be beta sodium stearate is C17. Just complete the table. 17 1 is 17, 17 2 is 34, plus 1 add कीजिए. So C17 H35 COONA. Clear to all of you? Now sodium oleate, same. C17, 17 2 is 34, minus 1 H33 COONA. Now in case of palmitate, the table will be of 15. 15 1 is 15, 15 2 is 30 plus 1 31. So this will be C15 H31 COONA. So this is clear to all of you? Now listen one more thing. Beta, in this the fatty acid Fa we will use, that is stearic acid. STEARIC, stearic acid. Here the fatty acid is oleic acid, and in this last case the fatty acid is palmitic acid. Now how to learn? What is the formula? Simple, this one, C17 H35 COOH. Similarly oleic acid is beta C17 H33 COOH, and what about palmitic acid? C15 H31 COOH. Very easy to learn. And one more thing beta, if I replace the sodium with potassium, if I say you have to write fourth example potassium stearate, fifth example potassium oleate, sixth example potassium palmitate. Hanji. Then what will we do? Simply same. In place of sodium beta, what we have tried? We have to write potassium. The formula is C17H35 COOK. This will C17H33 COOK, and this will be C15H31 COOK. So this is a simple way that we have learned the 6 examples of soap. And at least you have to learn these examples because these are the part of your syllabi. Okay. Now I will shift to the next one, that how can I prepare the soap, that is saponification. Saponification, or this is commonly said to be the preparation of soap. Okay, so what is the definition? First we have to see that what is basically the process we need. So the process, let's see out. I use triglyceride of fatty acid. So student, what will I need? I need a triglyceride of fatty acid. Clear? This will undergo hydrolysis in presence of NaOH, and since NaOH is a base, so I will write basic hydrolysis. This will result in the formation of soap plus glycerol. Clear? So what do you mean by that particularly saponification? Just see one thing, it is the reaction of triglyceride of fatty acid, stearic acid, oleic acid and palmitic acid. Remember, clear to all of you? I'll show you how to write the triglyceride, that is the next step. So this will undergo basic hydrolysis, or you can say hydrolysis in the presence of base. This will give me the soap and particularly that glycerol. Okay, so I just simply show you the preparation of sodium stearate. I will prepare preparation of sodium stearate. Clear? So how will I write? Just simply understand on the board now. First I will write CH2, then I will write CH, students. then I will write CH2. Okay, this one is clear. CH2, CH and C. Now see, what is stearic acid? C17H35COO. So you will write OCO C17H35. OCO C17H35. OCO C17H35. This will be the triglyceride of which stearic acid? What will I write? Triglyceride of which acid, beta? Stearic acid. Now you have to react with 3 molecules of NaOH. Now see what the reaction occurs. Just break this point. This bond will break. Clear? On the left hand side you will get OH. On the right hand side you will get Na. Same here. OH, Na. Same here, beta. OH and Na. Clear? So what is formed? Just see out. CH byproduct first, or you can say I write the main first. C17H35. COONA. COONA. 3 molecules. C17H35 COONA. C17H35 COONA. Plus byproduct. What is left? CH2OH. I just write here the byproduct. This one. Or I will make the place this side. So that reaction is clear to you. C17H35 COONA plus beta. What is left? CH2OH. Then C CHOH. Then C CH2OH. This is your glycerol. And this is your beta sodium stearate. Suppose I want to prepare sodium oleate. क्या प्रिपेयर करना है बेटा? सोडियम ऑलिवेट. देन व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? C17H33. C17H33. H33. Here I will write triglyceride of oleic acid, and in this side what will I get? C17H33. Clear to all of you the difference? Clear? And suppose one more we have done that. Suppose we want to prepare sodium palmitate. Then what will I do? C15H31. 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 Here I will write palmitic acid, and here I will get C15H31. Clear to all of you? And suppose if I want to prepare in place of sodium potassium salt, potassium palmitate, then what will I take, beta? In place of NaOH I will take KOH, and in place of Na what comes? K. So this is simply how can you show the saponification reaction of any of particular soaps. Clear to all of you? Okay. Now we do the next one is type of soap. Just see out. Types of soap on the basis of commercial use. Types of soap on the basis of commercial use. So they are of beta, you can say the 9 main types. First we will discuss toilet soaps. These are the soaps which normally we use in that particular in our washroom and etc. So the main speciality is these are made up of better quality oils. Oil, you know, fatty acids. Clear? We can say better quality oils, or you can say better quality fatty acids. Second is medicated soap. Medicated soap, beta, just like you know that particularly Dettol and Savlon we are using. So in these soaps, what is the main fact? That in these some compounds like bithionol or Dettol, they are added just to impart medicinal value to the food. What is the main function? Just to impart medicinal value. For example, bithionol and Dettol, these are antiseptic. So the soap will also behave just like an antiseptic material. Next, number 3, Shaving soaps. These are the soap that we are using for the purpose of shaving. All of you know that is, and these are mainly contain two compounds. Number one, they are rich in glycerol. Clear? And second, they contain rosins, which combine with soap to form sodium rosinate. Clear? So two compounds we have added. First is glycerol beta, second is rosin. This rosin in the presence of soap convert into the sodium rosinate. Now what is the purpose of glycerol? Glycerol prevent rapid drying. Understand? The shaving soaps, अगर वो बहुत जल्दी they will, you can say very fastly they will be dry, then there is no use. So this will prevent the rapid drying of that particularly shaving soap. And what is the function of rosin? This rosin with soap forms sodium resinate, which develop leather, LATHER. That is a main part of the, you can say that particularly shaving soaps. The next comes out to be the laundry soaps. These are the soaps used for the laundry purposes. Clear to all of you. These normally contain the fillers. These normally contain fillers, FILLERS, and the fillers may be sodium carbonate, Na2CO3, sodium rosinate, or it may be sodium silicate. So what is the function of these fillers? Listen student, I will tell you one thing, that a soap remove the dirt particle by using that particularly friction, concept of friction. If I just rub a particular soap on that particular, you can say cloth, then what happens? There occur a friction between them, and for the friction the surface must be rough. So these type of substances, filler, they will increase the friction. They will make the soap rough. What is their function? They will fillers. They will increase the friction between the soap and clothes. Clear? Due to which the particularly its way of action already been increased. Now the fifth type that we have to study after the laundry soaps are transparent soaps. You know transparent soap, just like pears you have seen. Pear is somewhat transparent soap. So how these transparent soaps are prepared? These are simply prepared by dissolving the soap in ethanol. By dissolving the soap in ethanol. And then finally what happens? Ethanol, you know ethanol is a very highly volatile compound. So this ethanol evaporates. And what is left? The, or you can say the transparency develop in the soap, or you can say the soap will automatically become the transparent. Clear? Now the number 6, after the transparent soap that we have used, floating soaps. Floating soaps. These are the soaps which normally floats over water. Now what is the reason for that? They contain air bubbles. What they contain? Air bubble. Now how the air bubbles are, you can say that we are immersed, or you can say embedded in the soap. When the soap is formed, before it dries or solidifies. Suppose beta ये soap है, this is the soap during the preparation. In the starting state, this is not completely solid. In this soap, what happens? These air bubbles. These air bubbles are, you can say, embedded, and the time period is before the solidification of soap. Clear to all of you? So you can say in the semi-liquid state, these air bubbles are embedded, and as soon as the soap becomes converted into a solid, these are present inside the soaps, and this will make them float over the water. Clear? Now the next two main types, 7. Soap chips. These are, you can say, the soap in the form of small chips that we are using during the purpose of traveling. We are traveling somewhere else and we are using that particular small chips. These are simply prepared by the big soap just by going through a particular machine, during which a big soap is converted into the small chips. Now the 8th type, soap granules. These are the, you can say, granules means small, that particularly you can say small solid like particles. So these are dry soap bubbles. What is the meaning of dry soap bubbles? Student understand. When the soap is formed, it is in the form of liquid, and it will have some, you can say, bubbles also, because it is very hot during the preparation. So during the preparation of drying or solidification, some of the soap bubbles they will dry up, and these particularly dry soap bubbles, these are said to be the soap granules. Now the last type, that is, you can say the number 9. I'll write just on the top because we are having the less amount of space. The ninth type is said to be the, what will I say, scoring soap. What will I say? Scoring soap or soap powder. Soap powder or scoring soap. So it contains two main things. Two main things we are added or normally add in this. Number one is scoring agent. These scoring agents are also said to be the abrasives. Clear to all of you? And the example of these abrasives are sand. I will tell you the function later on. Second, what we will add some builders in them. BUILDERS. Okay, the builders, the example of builder are, you can say that particularly I can say sodium carbonate or trisodium phosphate. Sodium carbonate or trisodium phosphate, Na3PO4. Now these two substances, these are normally added in the soap powder or scoring soap. What is the function of scoring agent or abrasive? It increases the friction, or you can say this gives the roughness to the soap. Therefore the word abrasive is written. Understand now? Second, builders. What is the function of builders? These are the substances which increase the ability of the soap to remove the dirt particles. What it will do? It will increase the ability of the soap so that the soap will work effectively. So two main reasons I will write here. What is the function of scoring agents? They increase the friction. And what about these builders? These builders, they increase the efficiency of soap. So these are the 9 main type of soaps on the basis of their commercial use. Now I will discuss the next one, that is cleaning action of soap. Next one is cleaning action of soap, how the soap works. I take the example of sodium stearate to explain this. C17H35COONA. This will give me beta C17H35COO negative Na positive. I can write just like that. Clear? Now see one thing. This is the, you can say, hydrocarbon part. Clear? And this part is said to be the non-polar part, hydrophobic, or you can say water repelling part. This type of what? Water repelling means you water it will not dissolve in water. Second part is CO negative and Na positive. This part is having the charges negative and positive. So this is said to be the ionic part, or you can say polar part. This polar part is said to be the hydrophilic, or you can say water attractive. So whenever listen student, there is a question that comes normally that you have to divide your soap or detergent into two main types. Number one, you have to divide into the non-polar and the polar part. So how will I divide? Just understand. The point till the hydrocarbon part is there, that is said to be the hydrophobic, and beyond it, whatever be, clear? Beyond it, whatever carbon, nitrogen, if some again the hydrocarbon chain comes, then even also that part is said to be the hydrophilic part. Remember one thing. So clear cut hydrocarbon part जहाँ तक है, this part till you can write hydrophobic, और जहाँ से भी आपका ionic part शुरू हो गया, और you can say that your hydrocarbon chain finishes, उसके बाद का सारा part that is said to be the hydrophilic. So what happens here, the student? The dirt particle. Suppose this is a dirt particle. This dirt particle is normally entrapped in the oil. Clear? And this is removed by soap. So which type of dirt particle is removed by soap? That dirt particle which get entrapped in the oil, that we can remove with the help of soap. So let's see out the example what happens. This you can say big oil drop. This contains the dirt particles. Clear? Now in this oil, and this hole is a medium water. So what happens, beta? I can simply denote this non-polar part by this zigzag manner, or you can say I write here. The soap is shown by this way. CO negative and Na positive. This is your non-polar part. This beta your polar part. Now come on the board. So this oil droplet is surrounded by this type of zigzag carbon chains. Clear? With negative end. Which end? Negative end. Now this whole oil droplet, it will behave like a negative charged oil droplet. Now see our student, there are so many oil droplets. This is not a single oil droplet, you are having so many oil droplets, just like that. These are the oil droplets, and all of will have negative charge. Due to what happens, there occurs repulsions in between them. Repulsions between big oil droplets. Due to repulsion, what happens? Because they will collide with each other. Clear? And due to collision, their size decreases. Clear to all of you? Now, what I get some this type of arrangement. That these bigger oil drops, they get converted into the small oil drop, just like that. Small oil drop, and same zigzag hydrocarbon chain, negative charge, zigzag hydrocarbon chain, negative hydrocarbon chain with negative charge, hydrocarbon chain with negative charge, hydrocarbon chain with negative. Now what happens? The big oil droplet is now converted into small oil droplets. Clear to all of you? Now these small oil droplets again repel with each other. Due to the repulsion, they will not combine. Means this process cannot be converted back. These small oil droplets, they cannot be converted into the big oil droplet. Now this small oil droplet, this is said to be the emulsions. What will I say? Emulsion or miscents. Clear? Now since the dirt particle is present in the big oil drop, clear to all of you, these big oil drops, they are converted into small oil drop. Now your dirt particles are present in these small oil drop. Clear to all of you? And these small oil drops, they are washed with water. So clear? This is all about the cleaning action of soap. Now we will do the next one, that is limitation or drawbacks of the soap. So just see out. Next one is limitations or drawbacks of soap. There are two main drawbacks. It does not work in hard water. Second, does not work in acidic medium. Clear? So just we have to see the reason why they will not work in this particular. Just in the hard water, some compound like CaCl2, these are present, and the soap is C17S35COONA. This is negative, positive, +2, -1. So what happens, beta? These negative ion will go to this positive ion, this negative ion go to this positive ion. So you can see there is a interionic attraction between the oppositely charged ions between the soap and the salt present in hard water. Now just see how the compound is formed. I write the compound at the lower part. This one is C17S35CO. Beta, this is -1 and +2. So according to cross multiplication of valency, this will be like that. So this soap is, what was the name? What was the name of this particularly soap? C17S35. This was said to be sodium stearate. Remember the name. This is sodium stearate. So this will be calcium stearate. This is the precipitate. Plus what is left, beta? Sodium and chlorine. Twice NaCl, right? You can say simply balancing you will do, but there is no need. This will be 2 now. So calcium single, chlorine, this will be balanced now. So what is this? This is precipitate, PPT. So what the hard water does? This hard water convert the soap into the precipitate, and this precipitate settle down at the bottom. So no use for us. Clear? Now see what happens in the acidic medium. In acidic medium, first your soap decomposes. What happens? The soap decomposes. Clear to all of you? Means there is no function. And second one, what happens? The fatty acids, these are converted into the precipitate in acidic medium, and these precipitate they get hardened, बहुत हार्ड हो जाएंगे, and these cannot be easily removed by the soap. Clear to all of fatty acid, or I can say the oil droplets. जो oil droplets हमारे बने थे, that particularly जो dirt particle था, it was trapped in the oil droplet, और suppose यहाँ पे वो पड़ा हुआ है, तो this particularly oil droplet get hardened in acidic medium, and this cannot be easily removed with the help of a soap. Clear? So these are the two main disadvantages or limitations of the soap. By considering these two main disadvantages, a new category of cleansing agents were discovered. These are said to be the detergents. So detergents are also the cleansing agents. Detergents are also the cleansing agent, but, or you can say except sodium or potassium salts of fatty acids. Means any compound that will perform the function of cleansing agent and that is not the sodium or potassium salt of fatty acid, these are said to be the detergents. Since this sodium or potassium salt of fatty acid, these are said to be the soap. So technically I am saying these are not the soap. So these are also said to be the soapless soap. The reason? Because these do not contain sodium or potassium salt of fatty acid. Clear? If the question comes, then you are able to write it. So now what we have to do? We have to do the next one, that is type of detergents. The type of detergents we have to do. The detergents, these are basically of beta three main types. Detergents types on the basis of structure. So I will divide them into three main types. I'll start from first, anionic detergents. Second, I'll do cationic detergents. Third, neutral or non-ionic detergent. Just beyond beta, before I start this one, I want to tell you one more thing. That is the advantage of soap. That is, what is the advantage of soap? There is only a single advantage, that soaps are 100% biodegradable. That is, they are 100% decomposed by the microorganism. That you have to remember in your mind. So come back to the main topic, that is we have to classify, or we have to do this one. So what is the meaning of anionic detergents? The anionic detergents are the detergents in which the main part or the part which perform the cleansing action is anion. Am I clear to all of you? The main part clear? In case of cationic detergents, or the main part or the part which perform the cleansing action is cation. Remember, in the soap, the cleansing action is done by the negative part, negative charge, and this is the invert of this. So cationic detergents are also said to be the invert soaps. Clear? Because here the cleansing action is done by the cationic part, and in the soap we have done the cleansing action is done by the negative part. And non-ionic or neutral or non-ionic detergents, these are simply, as the name indicates, they do not contain any ions. Clear to all of you? Or you can say they are neutral. So we will see now the example of this. So first I will divide this particularly anionic detergent into two main types. Two main types. The first one is sodium alkyl sulfate. Sodium alkyl sulfates. Types are, you can say, now we are discussing about the examples now. Two type of example. First is sodium alkyl sulfate. Second one is sodium alkyl benzene sulfonate. Just see out the example of this. We have to do two examples in the first category. Sodium lauryl sulfate. Sodium lauryl sulfate, and second sodium stearyl sulfate. Sodium stearyl. See out the example. So these are, you can say, the sodium alkyl sulfate. So how will I write the formula? Simply in the last you will write Na, both of the cases. Na is written at the last. Now before the Na you have to write, or you can say just what is the meaning of lauryl. Lauryl means how many carbon atoms? C11 H23. Clear to all of you? Lauryl means C11 H23. Then what you have to write? OSO3Na. OSO3Na. Sodium sulfate. Clear to all of you? SO3Na, SO4 sulfate. Now sodium stearyl sulfate. Stearyl, you know what is stearyl? This is C17 H35 OSO3Na. Clear to all of you? How to remember the structure? C11 H23 OSO3. Because this one is SO4 and this one is sodium. तो दिस इज टेक्निकली सोडियम एल्काइल सल्फेट. यहाँ पे बेटा आपका एल्काइल ग्रुप कौन सा है? स्टीराइल SO3 फॉर द सल्फेट एंड दिस इज फॉर द सोडियम. Clear? Now the next category, sodium alkyl benzene sulfonate. The example that we will discuss here is sodium alkyl benzene sulfonate. Just see how this is benzene first I will draw. Benzene is clear to all of you? Clear? After the benzene, what we have to write? We have to write SO3Na. So this is sodium, there benzene, there sulfonate SO3. Now alkyl group we have to write. The alkyl group is CH2 11 times. Now see what is the name. This is sodium para. Now listen beta, in comparison of this position is ortho, this is meta, and this one comes out to be para. So the name is sodium para. On para position, the chain, this alkyl group contain 11 plus 1, 12 carbon atom. For the table 12 we will write do-decyl. Remember methyl, ethyl, propyl, butyl, pentyl. In this way up to 10 it will be that you can say decyl, and 11 undecyl, 12 do-decyl or decyl, whatever you pronounce depends on you. And then we will write benzene sulfonate. So this is the way how to write this one. This is very important. Now we will come to that particularly neutral or non-ionic detergents. They do not contain any charge, or these are said to be the neutral detergents. So we will write, just see the example of this. CH, I will write in this way. CH3, CH2. Listen, there is no any charge. CH3, CH2, 16, CO. Now since this contain a polymeric part, so I will write CH2, CH2O, and this, and remember which part? Polymeric part. And in the last, what we have to write? We have to write CH3, CH2OH. Now before I write down the name, if I say that divide this into hydrophilic and hydrophobic part, then remember one thing, जो hydrocarbon chain है, this is up to this point. So this is the hydrophobic, and the last one complete is hydrophilic. Remember this one. Similarly, I can discuss it. This is the carbon chain. So up to this part hydrophobic, next hydrophilic. Never get confused. So now I write down the name of this. How can I write down the name? Polyethylene. This polyethylene is for this one, that N particularly. Polyethylene. Clear to all of you? Glycol. The glycol is for this one, CH3, CH2, and stearate. 16 plus 1, how many carbon atom? 17. Glycol, stearate. This is the way how to learn the name. Clear to all of you? So the examiner asked that in which type of, you can say, detergent polymers are present. Neutral detergents. Am I clear to all of you? Which type of, you can say, detergents are having the alkyl sulfate, anionic detergent. So we can also define these in different ways also, that alkyl, sodium alkyl sulfate are also the detergents. We can also define sodium alkyl benzene sulfonate. This is the different definitions. But main definition, all the compounds which are the cleansing agents, and do not contain sodium or potassium salt, clear, of fatty acid, these all are said to be the detergents, and the way of action is just similar to that of the way of action of soap. These are also divided into two parts. I told you, hydrophobic and hydrophilic. Same, particularly luminescence are formed in the same mechanism. Sometimes students get confused that sir, the mechanism of soap action and the examiner give the mechanism of detergent action. Many both are the same. The soap and detergent both are divided into two main parts, hydrophobic and hydrophilic. Okay. Now we to the next part, that is biodegradable and non-biodegradable detergents. Now we are going to the end of our topic. So the examples are same, so I will not remove this one. I simply this one. Okay. The heading is biodegradable and non-biodegradable detergents. So listen all of you, biodegradable detergents which are decomposed by microorganisms. These are not decomposed by micro. Now what is the structural feature that is related to this? The structural feature is they contains straight carbon chain. Straight carbon chain, just like this compound. I'll write as, for example, sodium, all these, this one. Sodium lauryl sulfate. See, there is a straight carbon chain, there is no branching. Second, I can write this one, sodium stearyl sulfate. Third, I can write this one also, sodium para do decyl benzene. So all the detergent that contain a straight carbon, this is also biodegradable detergent. I can write polyethylene glycol stearate. So whatever the detergent we have done, cationic, anionic, and which contain the straight carbon chain are said to be the biodegradable detergents. Now what comes to be the non-biodegradability, or you can say non-biodegradable. These are the detergents which contains side chains. What contains side chain or branches? Due to the presence of these branches, normally the microorganism, they do not attack that particular or cannot have the ability to break that particular bond. Now the example is sodium 4,1357 tetramethyl octyl. Remember, this is just like of this compound that we have discussed. Octyl benzene sulfonate. So I draw the structure in front of it so that it will be clear to you. This beta we have drawn benzene SO3Na. Benzene sulfonate clear, sodium clear. Now 4 position 1, 2, 3, 4. At 4 position we are having octyl group, means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. 8 carbon atoms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Methyl is on 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5 and 7. Complete the valencies. CH3, H, CH2, H, CH2, H, CH2 and H. So these methyl groups, these are on which positions? 1, 3, 5 and 7. So this will be now sodium 4 position 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 5, 7, tetramethyl. Complete is octyl 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, benzene sulfonate. So due to the presence of these branches, these are said to be the branches. Due to the presence of these branches, the microorganisms MO, they do not normally attack and break the bonds. Clear to all of you? So this we have discussed a bit of biodegradable and non-biodegradable detergents. Now we are going to the end of the chapter and we will discuss two main things: advantages and disadvantages of detergents. advantages of detergents, and next is disadvantages of detergents. There is only one disadvantage, that few, or you can say many, detergents are non-biodegradable. Example we have done, clear, same. You can even note it down, then you can note it down, sodium 41357 tetra methyl octyl benzene sulfate. Understand now? So what are the advantages of detergents? They are having so many advantages. First, they will work in hard water. Second, they will work in acidic medium. Number 3, they have better cleansing action. Number 4, they are more soluble in water than soap. Now these two are that you have to write without any reason, but we have to see the reason of this. Why they will work in hard water? Because clear, understand, the hard water does not convert detergent into precipitate. Clear to all of you? The hard water, or you can say the salts of hard water does not convert the detergent into the precipitate because there is no reaction between them. Now next one, how they will work in acidic medium. Now listen one thing, acids does not decompose detergents. Clear to all of you? So but these acids, they will have the power to decompose the soap, but they will do not decompose that particularly detergents. Clear to all of you? So this is all about a very big article that we have done, that is food additives and cleansing agent. By this we are finishing our chapter, that is chemistry in everyday life. In the whole chapter we have done the drug target interactions, then we have done these particularly drugs, then we have done food additives, in the last we have done the cleansing agent. Student, be clear about the examples and be clear about each and every point, because this is a chapter that does not contain any numerical, some equations are there, clear, and this type of chapter is theory based, one of the easiest chapter, clear to all of you, but learn all examples properly. So this is all about the chapter chemistry in everyday life, that's all.